Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for those who have joined us so far. We'll get started in just about 5 minutes to allow other folks to log in. Good afternoon, Councilmember Adams. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes, but thanks so much for being with us here today.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. I'm going to have to rush out. We're about to start DEM conference in 2 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we just get started with your remarks? Perfect place to start.
Awesome. Okay.
Does that work for you?
I'm going to get my nice fancy background up for you.
Okay, great.
All righty. Here we go. Hi.
There you are. Wow, love the background.
Makes me feel like a bear. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Yep, just a second. So I want to welcome everyone to this afternoon's town hall. My name is Sarah Block, and I'm the Senior Development Manager at Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A. I would like to begin by just acknowledging that this is a hard time for so many of us, and thank each person here for what you're doing to maintain stability in your own lives, your professional lives, and in your communities. And to kick us off today for our Taxpayers' Rights Town Hall, we are so grateful to have Councilmember Adrienne Adams with us. And I will pass the mic to her to start us off with some remarks. So thank you, Councilmember Adams, and we thank you for your support and your leadership as we face many crises in our city at this time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah, and members of Brooklyn A and everybody who is watching this amazing important forum today. Thank you for having me, and I apologize for having to jump off. You know how this works, a million things going on at the same time, but I wanted to be sure to be here with you because this pandemic is a health crisis that has caused a devastating and unprecedented economic blow to residents. In a matter of months, workers have lost their jobs, our businesses are financially devastated, and our renters and homeowners are struggling to keep their heads above water. This trend will only increase if we don't cushion the blow. In the first virtual vote ever, the New York City Council voted on a package of bills to help New Yorkers during this difficult time, and we're still working to respond to the pandemic to minimize the negative health and economic consequences for all New Yorkers. When we consider what's going on in New York City, it's so important that the mayor has postponed the lien sale for homeowners, which is a good first step. Each year, property owners who've fallen behind on property taxes, water charges, or other payments to the city have liens against their property and sold to a private trust if they fail to pay by the date of the lien sale. Now, it's my belief that we should cancel the 2020 lien sale. Federal dollars have been slow in coming, but regardless of how the federal government acts, all New Yorkers should know that the City Council will continue to do all that we can for New York residents. I know that my colleagues in the council will concur with that sentiment. My team is available remotely, so if you need assistance from us on this matter or any matters really, Feel free to call my office at 718-206-2068. Once again, that's 718-206-2068, or drop us an email at adams@council.nyc.gov. Once again, that's adams@council.nyc.gov. So thank you again, Sarah. Thank you, Brooklyn A, for all that you do. I enjoy our partnership, and I congratulate you on your work. Have a wonderful forum.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. We appreciate you taking the time and wish you the best on the rest of your busy day. So I will now just on a couple of housekeeping notes before we transition over to hearing from a couple other elected officials, as well as to our presentation for today. I wanted to let everyone know that we are live streaming this event to Facebook on Brooklyn A's page. So if you would like to help us to share the presentation with your networks, feel free to share the live event on your page. If you are watching us on Facebook Live and we reference any kinds of information or links during this presentation, we will be putting those links into the Facebook Live event later on after the event. We will keep everyone on mute for the duration of the presentation. And if you think of any questions that come up, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and we will take them at the end of our presentation. Okay. So once again, I'm so happy to have you all here today for our Taxpayers' Rights Virtual Town Hall. Oh, I believe that. Okay. So Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A's mission is to advance social and economic justice and community empowerment through innovative, collaborative, neighborhood-based legal representation and advocacy. We represent low and moderate income individuals and families throughout New York City. For 51 years, BKA has provided high quality, low barrier, neighborhood-based legal services to individuals, families, nonprofit organizations, community development corporations, and small business owners who are interested in developing and sustaining vibrant and healthy communities. As I mentioned earlier, this town hall that focuses on taxpayer rights is just one event in a series of generally weekly town halls for each of our program areas. It's critical that we as New Yorkers who are in the middle of multiple crises give and receive clear and accurate information around rights and have spaces to ask questions during these confusing times. These town halls are part of Brooklyn A's efforts to do outreach to our communities and convene that space. For a schedule of upcoming town halls or to receive a copy of this presentation, feel free to leave your email address in the chat box, and you can do so in a private message. If you're on our Facebook Live event, you can also leave your email address in the chat or directly message us, and we will send you the information. So today's town hall focuses on our tax payer work, but Brooklyn A also offers services in deed theft, predatory lending, and foreclosure prevention. We do work in tenant advocacy around eviction prevention, anti-harassment, and fair housing claims. We also help to get tenants repairs and essential services. And then we provide transactional legal services for nonprofits and small business owners, including rent negotiation with landlords during this critical time. If you would like to get more information or receive any help in any of these program areas, feel free to contact us Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our phone number is listed here on this slide, as well as email address, and we'll also be listing it in the chat. Today's presenters include Tamara Del Carmen, who is the director of the Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program at Brooklyn A. Maria Jennings, who is a summer 2020 intern with the Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program and is a student at CUNY Law, as well as Jason Zhang, who is also a summer intern with the Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program and is a student at Columbia Law School. These interns, I just want to mention, just began their internship with us a few weeks ago, but we're so excited for them to join us and to have this opportunity to share resources with you today. I just want to take a moment to thank our co-sponsors for today's town hall, including Assembly Member Walter Mosley, Council Member Adrian Adams, who we just heard from, and Council Member Robert Carnegie as well. So before we go into the presentation, and I turn it over to Tamara, I want just checking to see if Councilmember Carnegie or Assemblymember Mosley has arrived. And I don't think they have yet. So Tamara, let's have you start off, and then I might pause you to allow them to give their remarks, and then we'll go back to the presentation.
Thank you, Sarah, no problem. So I'm gonna start off by sharing my screen here. And thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. Thank you to our elected officials, Assemblymember Walters Mosley, Councilmember Adrian Adams, and Councilmember Robert E. Carnegie. And also thank you to our law students who will also be co-presenting. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Tamara Del Carmen, and I am the director of the Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program. And we provide services to homeowners who are facing foreclosure. We also represent homeowners who have been victims of predatory lending and deed theft. And we also provide bankruptcy representation in a Chapter 11 or Chapter 7 cases. And we also have a low-income taxpayer clinic where we represent taxpayers who have issues with the IRS and New York State. The issues range from any collection matters to innocent spouse relief, identity theft, tax court, audit, and appeals. So what I'm gonna briefly touch upon is the coronavirus and taxes, the timeline. On March 13, 2020, the president declared the coronavirus pandemic a national emergency. On March 20th, the IRS issued a notice 2020-18 to extend the federal income tax filing deadlines. And on March 25th, the IRS also issued the People First Initiative, which will be discussed a little bit later by Jason. And on March 27, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act was passed, which will also be discussed a little bit later by Maria. On March 28th, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced an extension of the state income tax filing deadline as well. And right now, our deadline to file state and federal tax returns is July 15, 2020. So that's both for state and federal returns. So both state federal returns are due by July 15, 2020. And if there are any payments that are due, that has also been extended to July 15. In the event that you need additional time after July 15, taxpayers can actually fill out and submit Form 4868 to the IRS. You can actually go on the official IRS website at www.irs.gov or print out an actual hard copy of Form 4868 and mail it out to get an additional 3 months. So taxpayers would get until October 15, 2020 to file their returns without any penalties. New York State also allows for an extension request, and you can just log on to the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance website, and you can complete a request online, and that will also give an additional 3 months until October 15, 2020 to file your state returns. So now I'm going to be introducing Maria, who is going to be discussing the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, the CARES Act.
Hi, thank you, Tamara. So the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act, was passed on March 27th, 2020. It includes $2 trillion worth of relief for individuals and businesses to offset economic impact from COVID-19. Employers may enroll in the Paycheck Protection Program and receive funds to continue paying their employees. Individual taxpayers may be entitled to economic impact payments, also known as stimulus payments. So what is the economic impact payment and who qualifies? An economic impact payment is a one-time refundable credit stimulus payment made to eligible taxpayers based on 2018 or 2019 income. To qualify, individuals must have a Social Security number and may not be claimed as a dependent on another taxpayer's return. Individuals receiving Social Security, disability, or retirement income are eligible. Individuals receiving unemployment income are eligible. And as of June 3rd, 2020, 159 million stimulus payments have been processed. So how much will I receive? This is based on your filing status and your adjusted gross income. Your adjusted gross income, also known as AGI, is your total gross income minus any specific allowed deductions. So for example, if your filing status is single or married filing separately, and your AGI is $75,000 or less, you're eligible to receive $1,200 plus $500 for each qualifying child. If your filing status is married filing jointly, and your AGI is $150,000 or less, you are eligible to receive $2,400 plus $500 for each qualifying child. If your filing status is head of household, and your AGI is $112,500 or less, you're eligible to receive $1,200 plus $500 for each qualifying child. And a qualifying child is defined as a child, stepchild, foster child, sibling, step-sibling, or descendant thereof who is under 17 has lived with the taxpayer for more than half the year, and who has not provided more than half of their own support. So what if I make more than these AGI thresholds? Well, based on your income, you could still be eligible for a reduced payment. As this graph shows, it's an example of your filing status, your adjusted gross income, and the amount of money that you could receive for the stimulus payment. For an example, payments are reduced by $5 for every $100 earned over the income thresholds. So if you are single with no children and your adjusted gross income is roughly $93,000, you would probably receive around $300 from the government.
Maria,
and now Sarah, yes, I was going to say.
Thank you so much, Maria. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, of course.
Tamara, could we unshare the screen, please? So as we do that, I just want to welcome Assembly Member Walter Mosley and Council Member Robert Carnegie, who have joined us. We thank you so much. We know it's a very, very busy time for both of you. And thank you for joining us and for all of your support of Brooklyn A and leadership to our community. So we'll start off with you, Councilmember Carnegie. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I think the work that Brooklyn A does, especially in this time, is going to be critical. I'm actually on the budget negotiation team, and we're going through budget right now and going over the programs that would aid families in terms of eviction and foreclosure prevention, which statistically it seems like we're going to see an increase in the next couple of months. So I got to get back to that call, but I didn't want to miss an opportunity to, one, say thank you and how much we appreciate the partnership, especially in communities like ours. We're grateful that you're located so centrally for us to be able to refer families who we believe will disproportionately be negatively impacted by this COVID. Like we were already having tremendous difficulty with the onset of gentrification in our community, and now couple that with, you know, the increased job loss, the economic downturn. There's going to be a lot of need for Brooklyn A services, unfortunately. So as I negotiate the budget, and we're in an $11 billion revenue COVID spending deficit, and we look to have to, you know, make cuts. I'm just trying to make sure that those cuts are not on the backs of folks who really need the help of Brooklyn A and services similar through what we're going to see as, like the next pandemic, which will be around foreclosures and evictions. So I just wanted to stop in really quick to say thank you. Thank you for the seminar today, which I listened to a little bit before you even introduced me. Is going to be incredibly informative for our community. So I just wanted to stop by and thank you, let you know that we're negotiating a budget that we believe must include and not be devoid of the services that are going to be germane to saving our communities figuratively and literally. So thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member. We're so happy to be located across the street from you, and thank you for your support. We know that you're fighting hard for what our community needs. And
wait, don't piss my colleague off, Council Member. You got the Assembly Member on the other line.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Sorry, Walter.
We will see. We'll see you soon, Council Member. Take care. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much for everything you do, and thank you so much for the seminar tonight.
Be well. Be well.
Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Assembly Member Walter Mosley, who has joined us as a participant on many of our town halls previously. I'm always so excited to see you with us, learning so much about ways that we can help our community. And we're really excited to build a partnership with you and have you on today.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, and to all those who are participating, and to all those who are gathering this very important and critical information. As my colleague said, we're dealing with some very trying times, as we all know, from a fiscal standpoint. But we also know the most important fiscal situation that every one of us are dealing with is how do we balance our own kitchen table budgets? How do we balance the budgets for our children so that we can continue to save for their future? And then how do we continue to balance the budget in terms of how do we plan for the immediate needs of our own families? And my family is not excluded. So anytime in which we can put more money in the wallets and pocketbooks of our constituents is critically important. People are getting sources of revenue from all parts of the state and the country, and we want to make sure that they are not penalized, and I think, or that they are getting their fair share in terms of taxable revenues and went back into their households. Anything that we can get for them, obviously, will be to the benefit of their families and themselves as individuals. So this is critically important. And what you're doing, to me, is work that somewhat gets overlooked. But we are coming along the tax deadline in July. I have not filed my taxes yet, but what I'm listening to, hopefully, the people who prepare my tax papers will be cognizant of. But there are a lot of us who don't have the ability to hire someone to do our taxes. So this information is that much more critical to get out and to be comprehended by individuals. So individual taxpayers, this past May, we were $766 million less in our tax revenue compared to last year. And obviously we will probably see a comparable deficit for the month of June for 2020 compared to 2019. That people have come accustomed to receiving, we're going to support and sponsor. So again, thank you, Brooklyn, and thank you, Sarah, and the rest of the staff and the team for doing this work that sometimes gets overlooked and minimized, but is critically important now given the times that we're living in. So again, thank you. And I have to go on a 4:30 call, but I look forward to getting this information so I can continue to share this with my constituents as well. So please, feel free to send this information to us so that we can put it out however you want us to put it out so that constituents can take advantage of it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Assembly Member Mosley. We appreciate all your support. And yes, every dollar saved right now is critically important. So we appreciate it, and we'll certainly circulate resources to you. Thank you so much. Be well. So now I'll turn it back over to Maria. And Tamara, if you can share the screen again. Great. Thank you all for being flexible.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Yes, so now we'll discuss how you receive your payment for your stimulus payment. So eligible taxpayers who filed tax returns for 2018 or 2019 will receive payments automatically. Eligible individuals who do not usually file taxes, but who receive Social Security income will receive payments automatically. Individuals who have not filed a 2018 or 2019 return and do not receive federal benefits, but are otherwise eligible based on their income levels, must register with the non-filer tool on the IRS website as soon as possible. The tool will be available through October 15. And anyone who registers by October 15 will receive their payments by the end of the year. Payments will either be made via direct deposit if bank information is on file with the IRS, or by mailed check to the individual's last known address. There's also an additional payment method. Economic impact payments may arrive as a debit card. The IRS is sending these payments through a prepaid debit card, and they arrive in a plain envelope from Money Network Cardholder Services. The name Visa will appear on the front of the card. The back of the card has the name of the issuing bank, MetaBank NA. Information included with the card will explain that the card is your economic impact payment card. If you need additional information, you can go to eipcard.com or contact Brooklyn Legal Services Corp. A. So a few questions and rumors answered. Will I need to repay the stimulus payment? No. The economic impact payments are not loans. They do not have to be repaid. I filled out my 2019 tax return and I owe money. Will the stimulus payments be applied to the balance I owe? No. The economic impact payments are refundable credits, meaning that you will receive the payment even if you have a tax liability. Do I have to report a stimulus payment as income when I file my 2020 tax return? No. Will my refund this year or next year be lower because of the stimulus payment? No. If you are entitled to a refund based on your 2019 return, you will receive that refund in addition to the stimulus payment. Also, the economic impact payments are not in advance on your 2020 refund. And lastly, a bit more other information. Payments did begin going out in April, and they will continue for several months until all eligible individuals have received them. As a security measure, the IRS plans to mail a letter about the economic impact payment to the taxpayer's last known address within 15 days after the payment is made. The letter will provide information on how the payment was made and how to report any failure to receive the payment. If you have any other questions about your economic impact payment, please contact Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A. And with that, I will turn it over to Tamara.
Thank you so much, Maria. So at this time, I'm actually going to introduce Jason, who will be discussing the IRS People First initiative.
Thank you, Tamara. As Tamara has mentioned, as an effort to help taxpayers, the IRS announced the People First initiative on March 25th, 2020. The People First initiative limits enforcement actions and postpones payments due under existing installment agreements and offers in compromise, which means collection actions, including liens and levies, are on hold during this time. And this policy is effective from April 1st, 2020 through July 15th, 2020. So as to the first category of collection actions, installment agreements. For taxpayers under an existing installment agreement with the IRS, payments due between April 1st, 2020 and July 15th, 2020 are suspended. Taxpayers who are unable to make payments may suspend payments during this time, and taxpayers able and wanting to continue making their regular payments may do so. The IRS will not default any installment agreements during this time. However, interest will continue to accrue on any unpaid balances. As to New York State taxpayers who are unable to make their regular scheduled payments as a result of COVID-19 should contact the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance at its 518 number. And keep in mind that interest will also continue to accrue on any unpaid balances. And as to offers in compromise, if a taxpayer has an offer in compromise, application pending with the IRS, they have until July 15th, 2020 to submit any additional requested information to support their offer. And during this time, the IRS will not close any pending offer in compromise request. And if a taxpayer has an offer in compromise that was accepted by the IRS, they can suspend payments until July 15th, 2020. And next, on delinquent returns, interest and penalties will continue to accrue for all past due returns. That is to say, tax returns for all years before 2019. And taxpayers should file any past due returns as soon as possible to avoid these penalties. However, taxpayers should prioritize their health and should not put themselves in harm's way in order to file a return. And I'll hand back to Tamara.
Thank you so much, Jason. So next we're going to be discussing scams. Taxpayers need to be aware of any scams that are relating to stimulus payments or your federal or state refunds or any collection action. The IRS will never contact you by text message or by email. And the IRS does not send any type of advertisements in the mail. If you receive any text message or email claiming to be from the IRS or New York State, do not click any links or reply with any personal information, such as your social security number and your bank account information. If you're unsure about any communications that you receive, you can contact Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A. So before I get into where to report tax scams, a couple of the scams that are currently out there, are calls that are being made by scammers informing taxpayers that if they give them their social security information or bank account information, they can process their economic stimulus payment faster. You also have scammers that are basically pretending that they're from the IRS in New York State, who are claiming that your social security number is invalid and is pretending to get accurate information only to steal your information and possibly use your information to obtain a tax refund, which is illegal. You should also be very careful of anybody that tells you that they can assist you in getting your tax refund or economic impact payment faster and asking you to sign over any documents. And also be aware of taxes that are, or not taxes, but checks that are being mailed to your address in an odd amount. Sometimes there's a letter attached to it, and they basically tell the taxpayer to call a number and verify information online in order to cash it. And also senior citizens should also be very careful, since a lot of scammers are trying to target senior citizens during this time. So where to report tax scams? You can contact the IRS by calling the 1-800 number that we listed, 1-800-366-4484. You can also send them an email at phishing@irs.gov, and just make sure that the email subject line is IRS scam. And you can report your tax scams to New York State by contacting 518-451-1566, or by sending them an email at dtfoia@tax.ny.gov. And you should always report the scam to the Federal Trade Commission, and you can do that by logging on to their website, and you would complete a form online. So again, the tax filing deadline is July 15, and there are actually free income tax preparation software that the IRS has listed on their website. So if your 2019 adjusted gross income was $69,000 or less, you can actually log on to irs.gov and click on IRS free file and choose a free program that you would like to use. Generally, if you file your returns online, it takes about 3 weeks to receive your refund. It may be faster if you included your checking or savings account. And if you mail in your return, Form 1040, it can take up to 6 to 8 weeks to process your return. But keep in mind that all of these time frames are probably going to be longer, since the IRS was also working remotely and due to other delays, COVID related. New York City Vita sites are also offering virtual tax preparation and assistance, and we've included their link. If you go on the newyorkcity.gov website, you can actually find the link for the free virtual tax preparation and assistance. And also, if you do, if you've tried those options and you still need help, you can always contact Brooklyn Legal Services Corp. A, and we can also provide assistance as well. I've listed our contact information, our phone number, email. Our offices are closed, but we are working remotely to continue to serve our communities. So at this time, we're gonna go ahead and open it up for any questions.
Thanks so much, Tamara, Jason, and Maria. That was a great presentation. Just to let everyone know, we will be sending out all of those links that were in the presentation by email. So once again, please list your email address in the chat box, and we'll make sure that you get those. So I know to start off that we do have one question. Before we go there, Tamara, would you mind stopping your screen share?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a question asking, where can someone go for tax prep if they don't qualify for the free low income and they're a retired senior?
So the IRS.gov also lists options for tax preparation for anyone whose income is above $69,000. And there's also sites that AARP lists on their website as well. But we can find you a tax preparer in your area if you contact us directly with your personal information.
Great. Great. If anyone else has questions, feel free to write them in the chat. You can also raise your hand on the participants panel so that we can have you speak and ask your question.
I do have some general questions that are frequently asked that I can go over. A general question that has been frequently asked is, will taxpayers be forgiven their tax debt? And the answer is no. The IRS is not forgiving tax debts, and balances will continue to accrue, including penalties and interest. Although the People's First Initiative does give some relief, which Jason had previously discussed. Another question is, if I owe tax or have a payment agreement with the IRS or owe other federal or state tax debts, will my economic impact payment be reduced as an offset? So The answer is no, with one exception. So your payment may be offset if it's for past due child support. And if that happens, a notice will be sent by the Bureau of Fiscal Service if that occurs. And another question that we frequently get asked is, what if my stimulus payment was lost, stolen, or destroyed? How do I get a new one? So if your payment check was lost, stolen, or destroyed, you can actually call the IRS directly, or you can submit Form 3911, which is the taxpayer statement regarding refund form, which you can obtain on irs.gov, as well as the phone number, but we will also include that in the link for you. And if your check wasn't cashed, you will receive a replacement check once the original check is canceled. And in the event that the refund check was cashed, the Bureau of Fiscal Service will provide you with a claim package that also includes a copy of the cashed check. And the Bureau will review your claim and just make sure that the signature on the canceled check is not yours, and they will make a determination whether they can issue a replacement check.
Thanks, Tamara. That was really helpful. Okay, so so far not hearing any other questions. Feel free to reach out to us if you think of anything in later today or the next week or whenever. We are here for you to answer questions about taxes, as well as in our other program areas, landlord-tenant issues, foreclosure prevention, in our legal services for nonprofits and small business owners. We will be providing a copy of this presentation, as well as our frequently asked questions around taxes that will include all of the links that were provided in the presentation by email. Just once again, I want to thank our presenters, Tamara, Jason, and Maria, for all of the great information, and want to thank everyone for joining us, and hope that you have a good rest of the day, and please stay safe.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.